So we went there.
Sure, we'll
Had a
go.
horrific meal.
But I don't like.
I don't know how else to say it. Hello, welcome to Chew on This, a food talk show with Malaysia's top culinary talents, exploring the many influences our palate has on our personality through food, drink, and banter. I'm Tian, and I'll be your host into this world of good eats and gastronomy. On today's episode, we have an absolute powerhouse of a couple joining us, Benjamin Yong and Elizabeth Lee. CEO of the Big Group, Ben is a respected voice in the food community, an instantly recognizable name when it comes to delicious, innovative dining concepts in the Malaysian F&B scene over the past 2 decades, behind restaurants like Delicious, Ben's General Food Store, Beast, Plan B, and my personal favorite, Swine. Liz is the co-owner of jewelry brand Bauerhaus, an online made-to-order boutique store specializing in handmade jewelry, and the Playground Borneo concept store at popular shopping outlets around the Klang Valley. I first met these two as a writer for Tatler Malaysia and instantly saw the amazing chemistry they both shared. They've been happily married for over 10 years now?
Yes. Well,
Coming up to 10 years.
And these adventurous duo has traveled to some of the best culinary destinations around the world and dined at some of the world's finest restaurants. It's probably an understatement to say that these two have eaten a lot of awesome things, which makes them the ideal candidate for today's episodes, which we'll get into in a bit. I want to ask, what's new with you two? How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I think, since 2020, everything's been a little bit on a slow-mo. We decided to take things a little bit slower, slow pace, spending more time with the kids because they're growing up so quickly. I think from 2020, what we realized with the lockdown is we got to spend a lot of time with the kids, and that's quite an amazing thing. And I think when we come out from that, the one thing would be to lose that. So we consciously try to, just being with them, being with and around them, or taking them with us on our travels.
Ben, what's new exciting things have you been cooking up with the Big Group? What can you share with us?
I think going in line with the motto, what we said about slowing down, I think, we took a lot of time to take stock of what we're doing. And what we've decided on was, to consolidate a lot of the operations. We shut a lot of the stores. But right now we've right-sized the business. And basically the focus is on what can we do better, being better at what we do. So, looking at individual dishes to see how we can make it better. There were a lot of changes along the way, since 2020. Obviously, there was the pandemic. Then after that, there was the inflation. Then there was the staff inflation. So managing costs was a big part of the business. And I think that took up a lot of time. And essentially, it's really just formulating the business for survival, really. Right, and then now that things have calmed down a little bit, and touch wood, we're okay, and like I said, moving forward is not the earlier years where it was this massive growth expansion. Today, it's just about when we look at a new site, is it the right site? Is it good for us? Is it good for the business? Is it good for the people in the business? And then we move from there. So taking things slow, I think, would be the key word here again.
Okay.
And that's essentially what we've been doing.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Ben. How about you, Liz? Anything new regarding your brands you can share with us?
I really wanted to focus on the family and the children. I took a step back from creating all of these collections and having a new collection every month to literally when I wanted and had joy in the collection was when I created a new collection, not purely because I needed one, which allowed me to have more time for my family and my kids. And like Ben said, we used to always travel without the kids, but now we've steered into traveling with the kids and bringing them along with us. So we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary in October.
Ooh.
And usually most couples want to do it just the two of them.
Yes.
We've never been to Maldives before, so we're going, but I thought it would be really nice to bring the kids with us as well because I just really love that bonding time of just the four of us together.
Sounds like a great trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ben's questioning.
We'll see.
Okay, so before we dive into the theme of today's episode, I just want to ask Liz, did Ben kind of brief you what we're going to talk about today?
No, actually, I was a little bit shocked of why I was coming today.
Okay, I will explain. So really what I want to talk about today is how important are food choices on a date night. And that's why I think you guys are the ideal candidates. You know, dating is really tough today. Also, I hear from the grapevine of single people still pursuing the game of love, you know. And I often also get a lot of restaurant recommendations for date nights. People come up to me and say, hey, Tian, what's a great night spot for two of us, you know, a private spot? I'm sure you guys get the same questions a lot as well.
Yes and no. I mean, I think it's probably not so much about date night, but I think a lot of people would generally ask what's new in town, or you know, what's good to go to, and so on and so forth. But I think with date nights it's different. I mean, sometimes, and I think it's also different at different stages of the relationship. When you're dating, at the beginning, it's probably, you know, food is not relevant. You just want to spend time, any excuse to spend time together. And like I said, food kind of ranks pretty low in terms of the priority list. I believe in dating, I think circumstances would be more important, for example. But, you know, 10 years in, you kind of, food is important, but just being able to spend quality time is ultimately important as well. So I think the restaurant choices then becomes for us, I won't say more practical, but I think will be more tried and tested, because I think Liz would know. Liz knows me so well that if we have a bad experience in a new restaurant, she'll kind of give me the look and she goes, okay, are you ready to do the lion walk? I'm like,
I call it the lion walk.
Explain a little bit. What's the lion walk?
You know how when you're into a meal and you know it's not going well, the food is atrocious, for example, or the service is with attitude. To me, the worst or most frustrating feeling one can get is when you are halfway into the meal, you're not satisfied, you're a little bit annoyed, and you're stuck because you're neither full, or nor are you hungry.
Or satisfied.
Or satisfied. So, you know, to stay on, it will just aggravate the situation, and if one of us is cranky, then it will ruin date night eventually, because, you know, there will be snappy. So so she devised this word.
The lion walk.
Lion walk, which is wherever we're at.
Yeah.
And we'll just get up, pay the bill, and then, you know, go somewhere else. And wherever we go is irrelevant, because, you know, the fact is that you have a partner that understands you. Because a lot of people will probably be oh, you know, so embarrassing. No, let's just eat it, or let's just put up with it. And to me, you know,
why finish a meal when you're already upset about it?
Yeah. Actually, it's a very wise decision, and probably something you learn through years of experience being together and, you know, knowing each other well.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I'm really surprised to hear, Ben, that food is not one of your high priorities when it comes to like date nights. I mean, maybe at the beginning you said because as being such a big foodie as you are, I thought it would be high on your list, you know.
It's higher now after we've known each other. No? I think at the beginning we just wanted to spend time with each other. Yeah. Now I know Ben, what he really loves to eat, and he likes to go back to his comfort foods instead of constantly trying the newest restaurant or the latest thing. And I
suppose some meals, especially discovery meals where you want to go to a really good restaurant where the focus is on food, it's a little bit hard to split that attention, you know, of maybe neglecting your partner, but at the same time you want to focus on the food. So I probably won't call those date nights. Those would probably just be, you know, sharing meals. And I think in Liz, I found a partner that's always willing to indulge in new things, new discoveries. She will hardly ever say no. I think after being married for 10 years, the balance we find is perhaps just finding the right cuisine on date nights.
Yes.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm a Chinaman at heart, you know, and Liz is a true blue Aussie. So we actually have very, very, very different
taste palettes.
Absolutely
different.
And yeah, like we couldn't be more different in that sense. So I think a lot of date nights are more about being considerate. So, for example, we can't keep going to a Chinese restaurant and neglect her steak and fries. So, you know, there are times where I have to consciously remember that and go, okay, we need to find a steak and chip night for Lizzie, you know.
I see.
Because that's what she grew up with, and that's what she finds comfort in, you know what I mean? So I think that is more important than say, hey, there's this new restaurant, let's go and check it out. I think also maybe at my age, there is less adventure in trying out the latest restaurant, because now my theory, I told Liz, is that, look, let's just go to always tried and tested restaurants. Yep. With new restaurants,
let's give it a bit of time.
Yeah, we'll give it a bit of time. I say, look, in 1 year's time, if they're still around, means they're
great.
They're good.
They survived.
They've survived and they're good. Then we'll go. I think whereas in our earlier years, it's always about trying the latest or newest place. And, nowadays, I'm just tired of being guinea pigs with somebody else's.
I have learned, I think last year, I learned that I don't like omakase.
How come?
And it
No,
took
not
a
last
really
year.
long time.
I think about 5 years ago.
Was it 5 years?
Yeah, it's 5 years ago. So, like I said, because my wife would never say no, and we all love our sushi,
Yep.
and she would always sit through that meal with me. And the whole process.
That's
But
love.
There is a lot of fish she doesn't like.
But in my mind, I thought I like this. I mean, everyone posts about going to omakase and they love going to a Japanese restaurant. I love Japanese food, but I realize I love cheap Japanese food. I don't like fancy Japanese food. I'll always be sitting there waiting for the salmon. I'm like, when is the salmon coming? And they're like, no, salmon is the cheapest fish. You cannot have any salmon in Japan. And so I'll be sitting there waiting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so I hand everything over to Ben.
I think we came to realize this on one trip in Tokyo where we were in, I think, Sushi Hato, and they are famed for one of the largest omakase. I think it's 32 or 36 piece dinner.
It's a lot.
And in Japan, it's really insulting if you don't finish your food.
You have to eat before they serve the next one.
Your plate needs to be cleared. So she kept passing me
my God.
her sushi, like anything with silver skin or uni or shellfish which she's not a big fan of. And I just kept eating it. And after that, I think I ate 52 pieces. And after that, I said, I'm not touching sushi for another 2 years. And then she goes, you know what? I think I realized I don't like omakase.
I like omakase. I realized I don't like it. And he's like, you could have figured that out before we came here.
That's definitely love.
Yes. So
eating double portions.
So I think nowadays we as you grow in love, you kind of okay. There are nights where I really fancy sushi omakase. I'll say, see you later. I'm going out with my friends or whoever that would want the same thing, because there's no point forcing it. Right?
Yeah.
And then there are days where, and even when we travel, I mean, there are many times where, Lizzie's more than happy having room service, especially when we're in Japan, and I've got all these sushi meals lined up, and she go, I'm happy with my chips, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I love that you guys are comfortable enough to do that, But let's, I want to rewind it a little bit back to the early dating stages, if you don't mind. Do you remember what your first date was like?
Yes.
What was it like? How was Ben nervous?
First date or first meeting? I don't know.
First date night?
First date. Okay.
Lunch. Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember that lunch. I came home from it shaking.
What happened?
That's the second date. The aura, Ben. That's how you were shaking now. No, first date was in Pudu.
Yeah.
Were you shaking?
Chicken. Yeah, because I ate so much chicken. I came home and I told my mom, I don't know. He just kept putting chicken on my plate and I didn't want to not finish it. So I ate everything. And then I had glucose overload.
Where was this? What is it, a chicken restaurant?
No, I mean, it's Wong Mei K, I think, in Pudu. And I think I had just discovered their roast pork, I think.
And roast chicken.
Roast pork,
delicious.
roast chicken shop. So
with chicken rice.
I kind of go, let's go there for lunch. And without realizing how much of a steak and chip girl she was. But I thought, good to test the girl and see how she reacts in the coffee shop. You don't want to be dating a princess who can't go to a coffee shop. So I thought, that's a good test. Let's go.
A little bit of a curveball there.
But I really enjoyed it.
Yes. So that was... I think, if I'm not mistaken, we did one of our photo shoot with Tatler there.
We did it there.
Cute.
Yeah.
And then...
Because we still go back there.
Yeah, so that was our first date.
Okay, so obviously it was a success. What would you say are the important elements for both of you on your first date that you, now in hindsight, you think, that's why it was a success? Was it chemistry, conversation?
I think we also talked about a lot about what we wanted in the future, or... No?
In the first meeting? No.
Not in the first meeting, but I feel like in our progressive dates, but quite early on in our dating, it wasn't like...
I think we had a lot to talk about, I think. There's a lot of shared interests. There was a lot of common subjects that, we could talk about, I think. And, essentially that was... I mean, it was from the easy small talk to diving into the big serious stuff, like what do we want in life, And
also, I lived in Australia. So I was only here through transit. So I think because we had less time and we knew that time was limited, we kind of just started quite fast. and deep into our conversations. Yeah.
Okay, so some things I've picked out a little bit when you were talking about your first date. So some advice for those who are going on their first date. You know, Ben, you said somewhere down to earth over a fancy restaurant, for example, to test. Is that advice you both would share if you were to initiate a first date with someone?
I think so. I think it's always first and foremost to be most comfortable in your own skin. I think there are a lot of times where I think people get caught up about the perception of having to impress your maybe partner to be or whoever it is, that you go above and beyond, whether it's beyond your means or beyond your comfort zone, and you end up being stuck in a very uncomfortable environment. I think that is really important, to be in your own skin and to be comfortable. That I would say that would be the most important element.
Also for you, Liz?
Yes.
I mean, we were in Seoul recently and having dinner, and we were eavesdropping. Remember the couple next table to us,
yes,
and they were clearly on one of their first few dates,
and she was really upset.
I don't know what she was upset about, and then he started going, "But this is a really expensive meal," and anyway, it was.
And then they got upset because we were with a group of us, and we were laughing too loudly. So they told us to be quiet.
Yeah.
Really?
Because they were having a fight.
Because they were having a fight, which then made us
more
listen
conscious.
in because we're like, oh, what are they talking about? Why is she upset? Why did he storm out? Then he came back, and then she told him that he's a cheapskate.
Oh,
yeah, but you see, I think that's really
there was also
wrong
expectations because I think she expected more, and he felt that he was giving her what she wanted. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Clearly you picked up a lot of information.
Okay. But ultimately the conclusion was that it was just in an environment that neither of them were comfortable in, I think. And that's not a great way to start, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you start off with false pretenses, then it gets really tough when the reality sets in, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, I would say the setting of a meal can really influence the tone of the date, right? Yeah, whether it's romantic, whether it's especially when you're comfortable, like you said, you let your guard down and you open up a little bit, you connect better, right?
Yeah.
So all these elements, I would say, are really important for date night, where people maybe they don't think, but subconsciously it does affect them, you know. Which actually brings me to my next question: who should pay for a first date? Is it guy or half?
Because my parents always told me, you always pay. You pay for the man.
Oh, really?
Or you pay for yourself, but you don't let him pay for you because you cannot be bought.
Oh,
but at the same time, I do have a princess complex because I do love Disney shows. So I do like it when Ben pays.
But I think it's interesting because that was one of the first things that really stood out for me, that, here was an independent woman that didn't have all these expectations, because it's always about expectations. Because, the reality is, if anybody paid for anything, there's an expectation of something, whatever that something may be. And I think the fact that very early on, Liz always either offered to pay for the whole meal or, at least go Dutch, it showed me that she was very independent. So, and I think that's something I would want my children to have. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily overly being a gentleman having to pay, and especially we're living in an age where everybody's talking about equality, right? I don't think one should smooch off the other, vice versa, because we've got one boy, one girl, so we're gonna have to find that balance in between. I do not want my daughter to be a princess and to be easily bought, so to speak, right? But yet at the same time, I do not want my son to be chauvinistic and say, I'll pay for everything and I get everything I want. So it's finding that balance and making sure that they remain independent.
So I've always been on the camp where guy, I'll pay for the first date. And when I was writing this script, actually, I was writing questions. I was just thinking, so sometimes I talk out loud when I'm writing. I was at home and I was writing this question, who should pay for the first date? And I actually said out loud, guy or girl. And then my wife said, girl? It should be guy and half. I was like, oh, okay. And then I changed it. Okay, so then my next question is for Liz, actually. What is it like dating a restaurateur and a connoisseur?
So I'm laughing about the connoisseur. No connoisseur here.
You are, baby. It's really interesting, I think, because he brings such a different take on food for me. I've never really been a foodie or enjoyed I guess, venturing out of my bubble of food. I'm happy with steak and chips, or I'm happy with literally bag of chips in bed, and that would be my dinner. And then Ben has just opened up that world for me and started to understand, like, you know, what he loves, why he loves it, why he travels, why he explores. And yeah, I've really enjoyed the journey with him.
So when it came to, like, I would say maybe the early phases when you guys started dating, the early stages of relationship, did Ben do all the choosing of the restaurants for date nights, or what's the ratio like? Was it like you chose
I still do.
So
10 years later.
It's terrible. I'm so bad.
95%?
I would say 100%.
100%, okay.
I might leave a hint of like, oh, I kind of feel like eating like something, or like I want to do Korean barbecue, and then he will manage to fit it in. I mean, I'll be honest, our schedules of eating together isn't a normal 3 meals a day when we're traveling. It would be like 6 times a day, maybe 8 times a day, because he wants to pack in multiple cafes and restaurants and different locations, which is great because we get to try it. He also knows that I love desserts. So when we sit down and it's like a tasting menu, what I love about him, he'll always order a tasting menu of just all the desserts for me.
Sweet.
So he just knows me so well that he will take that ease off me.
That's very sweet. What's the most special meal Ben has ever planned for you?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see.
I love when he does roasts, like especially a lamb roast, or when we do like family time on a Sunday. He loves cooking brunches, and I love that my son, when I asked him what he wanted for his birthday this Saturday, he actually said he wanted a brunch, daddy to cook brunch in the morning, and for like the cousins to come over and play. And I thought that was really lovely that he kind of felt that love on the Sundays, that he actually wants that for his birthday.
Yeah, that is nice. Sounds like a great party. Can I come? Next question. What are the perks of dating a recognizable food figure? Are there perks?
Perks? Are they perks? Yes, of course
Yes,
there's perks.
Mrs. Chang. Mrs. Chang.
Okay, so there's a lot of people that confuse Ben when he goes to Korea as David Chang.
Really?
So there was one time I really wanted to go for a hair spa, and we couldn't get a spot anywhere. And they were like, oh, you know, you could just try walking in. And as I was on the phone, and Ben's like, oh, I found one that's really popular. That's just down the road from the hotel. Let's go. So, okay, we'll walk down there. And there's all these people lining up outside the door. And I just happened to be on the phone with my friend. So I was like, okay, you quickly go see if you can get an appointment. He walks in, and I don't see him come out. I turn off my phone, walk in, and he's already in, sitting down. I'm like, oh, okay. They usher me into a private room. They sit me down, and they're like, would you like the usual? Like, oh, usual? I've never been here before, but okay, I'm just going to go with it. Maybe Ben ordered for me. And I was like, sure. They wash, they pamper. An hour later, I come out. And then Ben has his phone out, looking out a picture of David Chang and his wife that eerily looks similar to the two of us.
Really?
Because a friend had sent it to me before and goes, have you seen this picture? I'm like, oh, that's quite scary. But I mean, for me, I suppose it's just my beard and my size. I need to shave my head.
So have you milked that David Chang card more than once before?
No,
you know?
No, it was just that one time.
There's been a few mistaken identities before, but you know, and for a long time I didn't get it. So at this hair spa, because I saw the receptionist, a few of the girls, they were all chitty chatty, and they were pointing at the phone and then looking at me, and it was very obvious. So eventually I walked out and I went, you think I'm David Chang, don't you? Then they're like, yes. I'm like, no, sorry, I'm not. But it got her a hair appointment slot, so why not?
Fast. Excellent. Okay, Ben, this question is for you. Food is such an important part of who you are, right? And would you say you express your love through this true food? Is that a language of expression of your love, you know?
I think so. I mean, you know, one of the things that I find most joy in is sharing food, whether it's cooked by us or whether it's, you know, discovered through some restaurants or anywhere. But being able to share a meal with people you love is the greatest form of any relationship, I think. And I think that I don't know how to articulate whether it comes through or expressed through my cooking or you know, shared meal. But to me, food is ultimately the tie that binds a lot of relationships, whether it's in conversation or whether it's a shared understanding. But I suppose our lives do revolve a lot around food, generally around the kitchen table.
Well, I share the same sentiments. I completely understand.
Yeah.
Hearing you guys talking about like eating out and dining at home, actually, do you actually prefer eating out or dining at home when it comes to like, say, date nights?
To be honest, I think for date nights, I like it when it's just the two of us going out because I'm not in the kitchen. We are in each other's presence, if that makes sense. But generally, if we're sharing a meal with family or friends, I generally prefer that we entertain at home, because it's more meaningful, I find. Whereas I think, like I said earlier on, the date nights, the priority is just us time. So it could be a meal, it could be a movie, it could be a foot massage, it could be anything else, but just having the time to spend with each other and not have any interference, whether it's the children or friends or work, whatever it is. So, yeah, I think.
But if I had a preference to eat out or eat in, I would eat in with Ben's cooking any day. Because what I loved about pandemic was Ben cooked every day for 9 months when we were in Australia.
Wow.
And it was exceptional, so much so that we all put on so much weight. But I just love that he tweaked everything to everyone's taste profiles. I don't like coriander, so he took that out of my dishes. Bailey doesn't like eating egg, so that was coming out. So it's just really lovely that he knows everyone's taste and he will just adjust the meal to everyone.
It's a mark of a good cook. Which actually segues into my next question very well. Was there a winning dish that you cooked that won Liz over? She said a Sunday roast, a lamb. Was that the dish?
Maybe that was my cooking. I don't think it was my cooking skills.
His charm, his aura. He's very charismatic.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was one specific meal that won her over. But generally, I know her favorite is a good Sunday roast.
Good Sunday roast.
Yorkshire pudding and gravy and good
Okay.
meat. And potatoes. Most important, potatoes.
Well, you can't go wrong with a good Sunday roast, right? Okay, Ben, I have one more question. Looking back at your best date nights with Liz around town, what would you recommend as 3 of your top dating spots for listeners out there looking to seal the deal? Any specific restaurants you could recommend, or dishes even?
I can think of 12 restaurants, but we'll start with B.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think it's really hard because, I really do believe it's to each their own. I think the idea is to put some thought. I find thoughtfulness to be one of the most key important character in any relationship, to be considerate, to be thoughtful. And I reckon any date night, as long as there's some thought put into it, it could be something that your partner or your partner-to-be would like, that you've given it some consideration rather than just, I picked the most expensive restaurant, which to me may not necessarily be a priority or the most popular one. Or it could be, it could be a concert, it could be a picnic. I think what Liz, do you remember? What I remember to be the most meaningful date at the beginning was the ice cream.
I remember the
ice cream.
Yes.
The ice cream by the poolside.
I said, bring the spoons, I'll bring the ice cream.
Yeah. So, and that was wonderful. That was when I discovered she was stalking me. We lived in the same apartment block when we first met.
We weren't stalking. We just loved your
Okay.
food.
Not stalking.
Okay, it seems really stalkerish now that I think back on it, but it was really quite freaky how fate kind of pulls you together. I mean, we don't live in Malaysia, but we always transited through KL because my grandparents lived in Kuching. And my dad was like, you know what, I don't want to stay in hotels anymore. Let's find an apartment that we can just transit through. Where do you want? And my sister and I we love eating at Delicious. So let's pinpoint that. Any Delicious there is, let's find a place there. So it was either Mid-Valley or Dua, because Dua had the annex, which had a Delicious inside of it. So out of the two, we went to go have a look, and we were like, okay, Dua, we like Dua. What I didn't realize was Ben created Delicious. So we'll always be eating in Delicious. And then when we finally met, which happened to be in a Ben's, it was really nice that we were like, oh my gosh, we live in the same complex. So we had Dua, he lived in Dua. And then we met downstairs by the swimming pool.
And had ice cream.
And had ice cream.
Well, that's definitely fate right there. I don't know how else to say it. It sounds like fate to me.
So what I think coming back to your question, it's really not about a big brand restaurant. It really is about what you think would be compatible, what you think would be considerate, and what you think each other would like. And I mean, look, sometimes there's still misfires. So, for example, recently, maybe about a month ago, in my mind, I do like this little barometer about how many Asian meals we've had before we need to do a Western meal. So I was like, okay.
I didn't realize you have that in your ticking at the back of your brain before I snap.
I know. There's only so much Chinese food you can eat, right? So I kind of thought, okay, tonight, and it was a double date night. We were meeting some friends, and I said, okay, we need to pick a Western meal. And I kept thinking, where can we go? Where can we go? And I think out of sheer misunderstanding, which I thought was that she really enjoyed. I thought it was a restaurant that she really enjoyed. We won't name names here, but I said, okay, let's go here. And
it was so odd that he named it.
And three of them just looked at me and went, huh?
Okay.
Went, yeah, don't we like it? And nobody said anything, so we went there.
Sure, we'll go.
Had a horrific meal, paid an arm and a leg for it, and then of course when we walk out, they all went, "Why do you pick this restaurant?" I said, "I thought you liked it." And she goes, "What gave you that idea?" I said, "I don't know why." I said, "Well, at least it had steak, but it was this." So after that, you kind of learn, 10 years on, right? You still have to sometimes verbalize your thoughts and communicate rather than just making that assumption. I think as the years go by, you make a lot more assumption, of each other. So sometimes kind of important to remember, let's just verbalize that thought, because
reducing opportunities for miscommunication. Yeah. But I think that the central advice I hear from that is it's not really about the place you pick, it's more of the thought and effort you put into picking the place.
Absolutely.
And I think people can tell that.
Yes.
Take notes. Okay, so speaking about romantic, you were giving the ice cream date in this example. I want to know what you guys think. Maybe it's different, but what was your most romantic, most memorable date night together, and why was it memorable?
Got mine.
I got mine.
Okay, tell me.
Costco? No?
Really? That was your birthday treat, not really a date night, was it?
No, not that one, but the other Costco. Like if we just go to Costco, really? I just like going to Costco. Okay. I don't know. I like that you always put that in.
Because you do love Costco.
So Liz, that's your most memorable date night?
I like...
What do you guys do?
Shop.
I like going through the aisles with Ben and we talk about all the things that we buy in our cart. And then I like the really cheap, dodgy pizza, the massive size pizza. Yeah. I love that. Yes. I told you I have really bad taste buds. I'm completely different from Ben.
I think what was memorable was one Valentine's.
Which
Flew
one?
Down to Sydney.
Yes, that's a good one.
So
and
romantic.
Surprise.
That was a very
so romantic.
One.
And she interrogated my assistant because I had to tell her some lie. I said, I'm going to China meet some suppliers.
So then because I wanted to surprise him, and I was in Sydney. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went to his assistant, messaged her, and I was like, can you please tell me where in China Ben will be? Because I'm going to go surprise. And she was really vague. I don't really know. Started saying all these weird things, right? So then I went to Ben. I was like, you've got a really, really bad assistant. Like, how does the assistant not know where you're staying? She can't even give me an address. She can't give me a number because if she just gave me a number, I could call the concierge. I could do anything. But she was kind of like, obviously, listening to her boss to,
of course,
shoo me away.
So I gone down to Sydney, but I mean, I think in hindsight, I think this is what when you're young and dumb, I would say, there's this grand gesture. So again, it comes back down to what you think are ultimate romantic grand gestures that just seems better in fiction films rather than reality.
Yeah.
We went to a big fancy restaurant. It was stupid expensive, but I don't remember the meal. And then we went to... Well,
I remember you came and surprised me, and I felt so bad because my girlfriend asked me out for breakfast that morning. And I was like, okay, fine, it's Valentine's Day, I'll go with her. Sat down, started talking to her, and bitch about my supposedly boyfriend who I can't find that's in China. I don't know, it's whoever. And then I get a tap on my shoulder while I'm saying horrible things about him. And I see him behind me with hundreds of red balloons, heart balloons that he's holding. And I was like, oh no, I hope you didn't hear any of this. And then he lets go of all of these beautiful balloons. And I'm like, why would you let them all go? But I was so shocked that he was there. So I was really happy. But at the same time, I was like, but the balloons we could have kept the balloons. But then he needed to orchestrate the balloons to get to the street before and not for me to see them. And he was explaining to me he had to arrange the driver to come to him to meet him at a intersection.
Driveway, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he took a lot of planning, but...
No, but then there was the next morning. I thought we'll go on a hot air balloon, and what I didn't realize, it was a 2-hour drive away from
so we were so
Sydney.
tired
It was the most painful drive. Going
in the
out,
dark
we were
because you
both
need to do
falling
it before
asleep driving
before sunrise.
Yeah, so I think after that, I remember telling myself, "Yeah, no more stupid grand gestures."
Then when you go up in the hot air balloon, you're up there for an hour.
Yeah.
And there's someone else in your little basket with you. So it's not really romantic because it's tiny basket, the two of you. And of course, the person who can drive it, right?
And because it's Valentine's, he kept going, are you proposing? I'm like, no, this is like my third date.
He said it out loud.
No, before.
Oh, I see.
But every time
Are you proposing?
Yes.
I'm like, no proposal. We're just here for a hot air balloon ride. But he was like, you sure you're not proposing? I'm like, not pretty sure. But I think all I remember was that drive coming back. Eventually we pulled the car aside.
Because we were
to have
so
a nap.
tired. Yeah.
So anyway, practicality must prevail.
But it was memorable.
Okay, I'm hearing 2 different date nights here. I want to know in both situations. So obviously I know, Ben, for your most memorable one, you planned it. What about the Costco one? Did you plan that, Liz, or was it?
No, I didn't plan it. I just tell him that I would like to do it.
Okay.
And he will put it into the schedule.
No, you did plan one date night, lamb chops and pesto.
Okay, so I did cook for Ben. I was so proud of myself because he went on a trip. I cleaned the house.
Moved
He
my
came
things.
back and he's like, wow, darling, you cleaned. I'm like, yes, I did. And then he goes, and I also cooked for you. He's like, excellent. He sits down and I'm like taking out the lamb chops from the oven. I'm really chuffed because I asked my mum for the recipe and it's my favorite thing. I mashed the potatoes, plated it up, put it down, sat down, digged in. It's like, did you make this from scratch? I had no idea. What does from scratch mean? I didn't want to sound dumb. So I'm like, yes, of course I did. He opens up the bin after we've finished and he looks in and he realizes that there's a can of pesto like inside there. He's like, darling, there's a can of pesto. I'm like, yes. I put it on the lamb chops and I put it in the oven. I mean, that's making it. It's like, no, from scratch means you make everything fresh. I was like, oh, this is the last time I'm cooking.
That's love. That's love. For a princess to cook, that's love.
Definitely. Hope my wife's taking notes. Okay.
Pesto is made from scratch, not from a bottle.
Not from the can. Okay, you guys are really well traveled and you normally go and eat really nice restaurants around the world. I want to know, how does having date nights in other cities like Tokyo, Paris, Sydney compare like to KL? What's the difference?
So it's ultimately it's just a different experience in terms of the food. You know what I mean? A lot of times conversations are still the same. The company, I don't know. I won't say it's any different. If anything, I suppose in Malaysia, it will be more familiar because it will be more, like I said earlier on, we go to tried and tested restaurants. Whereas when we're traveling, it will probably be more adventurous with new places that's been recommended or verified by various friends. So I think it's still us, but just in a slightly different environment and a different experience in terms of the food we eat and the restaurants we go to. And they're not necessarily all highbrow restaurants. I think it's funny because people think, oh, date night means it must be a fancy restaurant. It's not. It could be by the side of the street. It could be a 7 a.m. breakfast, in the market, so on and so forth, right? So it's not necessary. a special,
Yes.
specific occasion restaurant, so to speak.
I mean, I love that Ben always makes sure that we have time for each other away from the children. And I think that was mainly set before we had children.
Yes.
He always said that, what was it? We have to travel without the kids, even once we have kids.
No, that sounds wrong. I did think we have to travel without the kids.
On day 30 of our confinement day, what did you do?
I did. I took you away.
On day 30. I was like, I'm not ready. He's like, you promised. You promised. This was like first child, day 30, rip the Band-Aid off.
I think one of the early conversations we had was that, I mean, there is a 10-year age gap between Liz and I. And Liz being from Australia, I've noticed there is a generation or a trend, I don't know what the right word is, of a lot of young couples. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, right? That wants a lot of hands-on experience with raising their kids. And I think that was one of the conversations we had very early on that I said, you know, while children is very important in our lives, but, you know, they don't become the definition of our relationship. And I said that we will definitely need to consciously make time for ourselves. And I think that's how the conversation started. That, you know, whilst we want to be more hands-on than perhaps our previous parents' generation, I mean, I think you really have to be in position of privilege to be able to be hands-on. You know what I mean? So, you know, we're lucky to have that option and that flexibility with a great support network that allows us a lot of time to each other. And yes, there was that, I wouldn't say disconnect, but right after confinement, I said, look, we just need us time, and, you know, we just went.
But I'm glad that he did do it, because I think as an early mom, you kind of get caught up that, you know, you have a newborn baby, you are everything. That child just came out of you, so therefore you are that connection to life for that child. But when you get pulled away, you feel like it's getting ripped off you. But at the same time, it's the most liberating thing to realize that your child can survive with or without you. It will be fine, perfectly fine, and happy. So with that, it gave me that security of, oh, I can actually really enjoy my time with Ben. We can have, you know, adult meals without our children.
You know, we sound like terrible parents here, right?
Really?
Ripped off. Ripped away.
But that's how it feels like when you first have a baby. And then when we come back, we then can have like holidays as a family. And then that holiday is completely catered towards the children because, you know, they don't have long hours.
Yeah. I mean, for example, if we bring the kids with us, there are no long omakase meals because they won't exist. They won't. I think they're at a very young age that they won't appreciate it yet, nor will restaurants let them in.
Yes.
I think so. Then you cater specifically for the children's needs. You know what I mean? But then you realize after a while you're like, okay, but what about each other's needs or wants? You know what we hope to do? Like it's almost going to be impossible to go to Costco with two young babies, right?
Yeah.
So now they're at an older age. They really enjoy coming with us.
They enjoy it, yes.
They like
which is
sitting in the
nice to bring
trolley.
them. But we still have the on time with them and then an off time with another holiday without them.
It's the balance.
Yes.
Okay, so actually, I have a great question for that. You guys, especially now that you're parents and, you know, you've been married for almost 10 years now. Dating before marriage and after marriage, what's the difference?
For us, it's kids.
I think it's the kids that changed the variant.
I mean, I think it's again, like I want to reiterate that you know, I feel very fortunate that, you know, I still feel like we're still dating, we're still getting to know each other. It's still new in certain circumstance, I think, and that the only real difference is the responsibility and accountability of being parents, right? So it's having to carve out some time for that, but we still have.
We have a lot of us time.
We do.
So my next question was actually, I was going to ask if date nights are still important, but I'm guessing it's a resounding yes.
Yes, it is very important. And I think because we eat a lot together.
I mean, it's also effort to consciously say, okay, tonight's is us.
Yeah.
See you later
Yeah.
to the kids.
Okay, how has your date nights evolved throughout your relationship? So you guys gave me a glimpse of how dating in the early stages was a bit different from how you're dating now, where you can kind of anticipate each other's needs and wants and likes and dislikes. Maybe you can give us a little evolution chart of how it changed throughout the years, from being a young couple to now married to now parents?
Never thought about that. Still feels the same.
It does feel the same.
I think not really. I think the only difference that is very obvious is from, going to the movies is now Netflix at home.
That's true.
In terms of the TV, the movie, or rather, entertainment perspective of going out. In that sense, that pattern has changed a little bit. But that's not just us. I think that's everybody else, right, after the pandemic. But I don't know.
But also, I think I don't know. It hasn't really changed. Also, we're an unusual couple that we tend to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, almost
At least breakfast and dinner.
Wow.
every day together.
That's really nice.
Right?
So
And if I'm not eating with, say, one of my girlfriends, I would always be asking Ben, "Where are you? I'm going to come over." So we're always together.
she'll be malnourished if I'm not around. Because that was a trip. I was in Japan for, I think, 2 weeks. Yeah.
I completely forgot to eat. I just forgot to eat. And that's the weirdest thing, is because I'm always with Ben, he'll be planning everything. I'll go to him like, "Where are you?" I'll come over, and then he'll be eating. So then I'll eat off his plate. Then, I'll order as well.
But what was interesting was that when I got back, I was like, "Lizzie, why are you so snappy?" She was really snappy at everything.
I didn't know my hair
She
was...
had lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, my hair was getting thinner. I lost so much weight. I was super cranky. And then I realized because I lost 10
Low
kilos.
sugar levels.
Yeah, it was mad. I had super low sugar levels. And Ben's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." And then he started feeding me again. And I was like, "Oh my God, I literally had not eaten a proper meal for 2 weeks."
Oh my goodness.
No, because it was also that I think my sister and my mother, who usually also feeds you
Were
when
also
I'm away,
away,
they
yes.
were away with me in Japan.
Yes, everyone was away.
She was home alone with the kids.
Okay.
But you were one of the kids.
I am one of the kids. It's terrible.
It's good to be one of the kids. And how some couples have someone's always the planner and someone's the person who says, "Oh, I'm down with whatever. I'm good with whatever." Sounds to me like I kind of figured out who is the planner.
Yes.
She used to complain. She goes, before she goes to bed, because Liz always sleeps a little bit earlier than I do. She'd be like, it'd be nice to, go somewhere, for example. I don't know, maybe eat some pasta. And then I don't know how from that it would deviate me going online searching for flight deals. And then when she wakes up, her like, "Hey,
Every
you won't
morning.
believe it. I found really cheap tickets.
We're gonna go to Milan."
Italy." And she'd be like, "I just said I felt like eating pasta."
And he's
I'm
like, "Yeah, I found it. We're going to go in 2 weeks' time, okay? But also, I found another deal for this weekend. We'll be going to Bangkok this weekend. We leave Friday, come back Sunday. Then the week after, we go to Milan, okay?" I'm like, okay.
All these one word, and then it triggered a whole
Yes.
bunch of date nights.
So I think that's the
Inception.
reason why
Inception.
I do love that I just have to say one small thing to Ben, and he will go to the next level, far and beyond. And it's,
Very sweet, man. Okay. What would you say? How would you describe the influence you have on each other in regards to food throughout your relationship? So I'm hearing that Ben, you've taught Liz how to eat very many nutritious foods, and broaden your palate, I
Yes,
suppose.
yes.
Liz, how about the opposite?
I think it's again, it goes back to that word balance, right? As I said earlier on, as I grow older, I'm more inclined to Asian food, whereas Liz is very accommodating. But because in search of that balance between any relationship, it's always constantly being considered to say, okay, there are other Western meals to keep trying, and in that, when we travel, especially back to Australia, that she keeps pushing to try new things rather than going back to the trying and test it.
Well, what I loved about that was when he came to Australia, he fell in love with Australian Lebanese food, which then spurred his excitement and love for it, that he's opened up Beirut Habibi in Lorong Kurau, which has been doing really well. And I love that he had that excitement for the food that I love and that he brought it back into Malaysia. And then he also does all these little pop-ups, I guess, collaborations within Ben's. So every 2 months he does a new collaboration of all the foods from around the world that he gets inspired by the most. At the moment he's doing a Deepavali collaboration. for the next 2 months. And
Exciting.
that was really exciting for...
I mean, I think any couple, the whole idea is you keep pushing each other. So for example, I mean, it's interesting that, you use that collaboration, because before we met, I was never a big fan of banana leaf rice. And for an Aussie girl, she really loved banana leaf rice.
banana leaf rice.
And I don't know how, subliminally she converted me, and, that's our Saturday brunch, right? We go for banana leaf rice.
And he enjoys it.
So I think that's the thing, is always to keep an open mind and to try each other's interests without having to shut it out to say, no, I don't like it, or whatever it may be. So,
Give and take.
yeah.
Yes. And I think the life journey, it always changes what's your interest. I mean, when I first met Ben, he had so many bars. He loved going out to drink, and we did together for a little bit. And then he realized that actually...
I'm allergic to alcohol.
Yeah, and I don't really like alcohol. So... that kind of slowly phased out. And then when we had children, he's like, I never really wanted a playground or kids cafe. But as soon as I fell pregnant, he started Bambino's, which is a kids cafe. And then he started putting in playgrounds within Ben's, because he realized, like, hey, I want my daughter to have somewhere to play and the parents to sit down and eat. And that ended up spurring into different avenues within his business, which I love that kind of evolves with time.
So that's the story behind why there's a playground.
Yes.
Yes, on a part of it.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because the kids can go and play and you can eat, and they're still taken care of. And
I distinctly remember passing by and I say, hey, that's new.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Last question, I think, before we move on to the snack section. Any do's and don'ts you can advise for people out there that you should do or don't during date nights? Like...
Have too high expectations. Do not have too high expectations, right?
yeah.
I think a lot of people set themselves up for disappointment because they think, it's going to be all that and a bag of chips. But, the thing to remember is this.
Darling, you were all that in a bag of chips.
I know, but I manage your expectations. You see?
That's another tip right there.
Yeah, I think, it's the most important aspect of date nights in our phase of our relationship. I think it's this being with each other, being there, being present.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, if the more plans you make, the more you have to be fretting. You know what I mean? I think, so for example, I remember like proposing. That's like your ultimate date night, right? Where there's these grand plans to do all these things that I may not have been there 100%, because at the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, is this being done? Is that being done? Is that being done? Is that being done?
You're not present.
So it's not present. So I think those are things that we learn along the way, is that being present is far more important than the perfect evening, so to speak. Because, look, we've all had mishaps and things go wrong, right? And it's funny because later on, those become the most memorable...
humorous part.
memories that you've had of being together.
Okay, we're going to move on to a little game. So this game is called, very simple, very Malaysian, can or not. Whether it passes or not. And since we're in the spirit of talking about date nights and movies, I brought 3 snacks that I searched and found that most people enjoy while watching movies. So I'm going to share with you guys. But before that, do you guys normally snack? Are you snackers?
I am a big snacker.
Huge snacker.
What kind of snacks?
Anything. I love donuts. I love
Chips.
popcorn, chips. I love potatoes. Actually, that's my kryptonite. Is
Potatoes.
just potatoes.
Anything potato chippy.
Anything potatoes. Like I would order just the meal for the potato.
Yes.
So it could be any meal. It could be, say you got steak, chicken, or fish. If one of them comes with a potato, I will order that one.
Because it's easy. Because when we travel, we play,
we always
guess
play
what
the game.
meal I'll order. And I'll just look at the menu and I know for sure anything with potatoes, that'll be the one.
He always wins.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, anything with rice will be the dish I order.
That's true.
On flights. So that's our game.
How about you, Ben? What kind of snacks do you like? Or
I'm not so much a snacker. I'm more biscuit based, I guess, with a cup of tea.
Or kaya and
Toast. Yeah.
Tea. He loves tea. So his kryptonite is tea.
Yeah. So a cup of tea and a biscuit. I think I'm a big fan of a good biscuit. But Lizzie is all about the snacks, chips, and
Okay.
dried squid, and what else is
Right.
there?
So I'm guessing more savory than sweet for you. Ben, more sweet than savory.
No restrictions with that.
Actually, I'm like, just snacks. If
You
I
know
could
the
just
definition
eat
of a
snacks.
bag of mixed chips? It's like there is
Okay.
no. Is there one thing you don't like at all? Not really.
Snacks? No.
Really?
This is a coriander chip, maybe.
Oh, I don't like a.
What don't you like? Snacks.
Oh, in snack. No, I like
You're a big
snacks.
snacker.
I like snacks.
Okay, great, perfect, perfect, Candid. I know I chose the right people. Okay, so we the first one is a Japanese cheese snack called Chiza. They are camembert flavored. Let you guys try, take a nibble, see if it can pass or not for movie date nights. Here you go.
I
Enjoy.
know Lizzie, everything passed already.
Everything passed already.
Oh,
Oh, pizza slice.
Can or not? Does it taste like camembert?
Oh, I wouldn't say it tastes like camembert, but it's nice cheesy.
yeah,
snack.
it's good cheesy taste.
This is more me though.
That's more you.
'Cause-
I thought it would have been me,
Yeah, no,
but it's not.
because you like plastic cheese.
I do like plastic
Oh,
cheese.
like the American
This
process.
has a hint of blue
Fanciness.
cheese. Yeah.
It's got fancy blue cheese in it. So that's
Oh.
it's too fancy for me. I feel like it's atas.
But it's good. It's good. It's nice, right?
It is nice.
I can with this.
Yes, he likes this.
Okay, so can pass for date night, movie date night?
Yes, for you.
I think so.
All right. Okay, we'll carry on with the savory before we switch to sweet. Next, we have something healthy, tempura veggie crisps. These are from Australia.
Yay.
Yes. All right. Have a try. I've never tried this before myself, actually, so I'm going to take a nibble. Ooh, got a nice lotus root. Here you go.
You know what this? Okay. Chili cream. Sharply can smell.
Oh,
Tastes pretty healthy, but it's some flavor
good.
kick.
I would feed this to the children.
No.
No,
Not for me, for you.
I would totally. It's like delicious in my mind. It's healthy because it's vegetables.
Yep. It's not super fried,
I really like it.
so can pass.
Yes.
Okay. So one snack for Ben, one snack for Liz.
But you know what would be interesting in that? Now you tell me.
Sorry, I need to check.
It's okay. But I reckon that with bitter gourd would be nice. Because then it will have a bitter element.
Yeah, no.
Because I don't like sweet.
No, that's not your chip. Don't ruin this.
So
It's
you don't like
delicious
the-
as it is.
Do you like the fried bitter gourd they serve at banana leaf?
No. Oh. wait, no. Yes, I do like that.
The
when
reddish
it's
ones,
really,
yeah.
really fried. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't taste like bitter gourd.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why I like it.
Same.
When he has the bitter gourd that's like, what is it? It's
Stir-fried.
like stir fried and limp. Not nice.
Stir fried and limp. Okay. Okay. We have one more snack. This is from, it's called Cracks. It's a Apam Balik peanut crisp from Penang. It's a local snack. Never seen this. Saw it in the supermarket. I like to go snack hunting and I spend too much money on snacks. I probably can assimilate.
As you
this.
should.
So let's give this one a try. So this is a sweet. You know, people often eat nuts and oh, it's pretty big. Here you go. Give it a try. It does smell like apam balik though.
It smells good.
Ooh,
It does taste like,
this is good. Ooh, it's good.
it's not bad.
This is good.
It even has that really soft center like apam balik almost, yeah? Yeah, it's a local from Penang. I never tried this before.
I like this.
What do I?
Very unique. And
can
it's
pass?
interesting. It doesn't very fast.
very
This one.
fast.
This one's very tanned.
But is this the best one you had out of
This
the
is
drink?
very good.
I think so.
Okay.
It's unique, I think, because you never thought of it. You would not think of it as a
Yeah.
snack. You would
Yeah.
think of it as a dessert. But I have to say, I really like this.
When it really stood out to me when I was going through the snack aisles in the supermarket. I think I got it at Cura, and it's not super expensive. I think it was like $14 for a
It's
big
very-
one.
I would never pick it,
Yeah,
but this is really delicious.
it is.
There you go, new fan.
There you go. I would definitely go back and get that. That's good.
Glad you guys enjoyed it.
But there'll be a lot of peanuts on the bed.
Yes,
Minor detail. And then followed by ants.
yes, I just realized I forgot to ask you guys if you were allergic to peanuts, but thank goodness you guys are not.
No.
It's okay. No, we're not.
As we're shoving our face with it. It's delicious.
Well, thank you so much. I think that's it. And on that note, we're going to bring this episode to an end. Thank you, Ben and Liz. It's been fantastic getting to know you guys and be having you on the show. I'm Tian, and thanks for tuning in to Chew on This. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you. We'll always be bringing you on the...